Welcome to the Ringer WNBA show. I'm Seerat Sohi, and I am joined today by Emily Adler of The Next Hoops, who just dropped a behemoth of a WNBA draft guide. And boy, did I get lucky already asking her to come on the show before I even knew she was publishing that. But sometimes that just happens. Emily's really great. I'm really excited to talk to her. Let's talk about Olivia Miles. Olivia Miles has officially announced that she is going to be leaving Notre Dame and transferring to TCU. And TCU is quickly becoming like a training ground for future WNBA players. Haley Van Lith just went there and revitalized her draft stock. She's going to play for Mark Campbell, who is quickly developing a reputation as one of the best player coaches in college basketball. And this is just a very interesting transfer portal story to me, beyond the fact that, I think we talked a little bit about Olivia Miles and the things that we want to see from her, as far as maybe another year of like the 3-point shooting sample size, especially after it dropped off. She shot 29% in her last games, or last 10 games of the season, but she has obviously made some strides on that end, and defensively was just getting picked apart in the tournament, really was getting taken out of the game in critical moments, basically from the end of the regular season to their loss against TCU. She's also kind of pulling a KD in that way too. So I don't know, like, Emily, what do you think? Is this just dark? Is this like, are we crossing a threshold here where college basketball is just never going to be the same? I personally don't think so. But if you have any hot takes on the transfer portal, I would love to hear them.
Not really, honestly. But in some situations, like you got to learn how to deal with adversity, but also like its existence is very good just because, like, I think there are way more situations in which you can secure not generational, but life-changing wealth for a career that, you're probably not going to be a pro player, but you can get some great money while you're still in college. You can get more playing time that might help you get to the W or get to a good contract in any given EuroLeague.
I think it's actually good for Olivia to be doing this. I think it actually makes perfect sense for her. Like, she kind of, after they lost, she talked about how she feels like this is sort of like she's maybe peaked in college. But then obviously we know the implications of like the 2026 CBA. Maybe she didn't want to declare for this draft. She goes to a school where she will get to play she'll play the same minutes, but she'll get the ball in her hands a lot more. She'll kind of be playing more of that spread pick and roll style that she could prepare for in the WNBA. I think it makes a lot of sense, but I will say, honestly, there is part of me that is starting to get to a place where I think the WNBA should have its guard up a little bit. And I know that the transfer portal and like NIL is something that's been talked about as far as like, oh, well, these players, they don't need to go to the WNBA because they make more in college. And that hasn't historically been true. Like, your endorsements follow you. Oftentimes they do get better for you. I don't think that's the case for every player. But now, just with the sheer amount of money coming into college basketball, now you add in the revenue sharing and also just like some of these programs that that are like the amounts that they're able to raise through like boosters and things like that. Whatever Olivia Miles is going to make for making that transfer, I think it's going to be a lot more than the rookie scale salary in the WNBA. It's going to be a lot more than the $75,000 she was going to make. And
that's for sure.
In 2026, that will obviously change, but I'm so curious about how much that will change. And maybe I'm thinking a little too far ahead, but I do think that this is something that, like, everybody in the W, like, whether you're like part of the Players Association, and I don't know exactly where rookie salaries are on their priority list by any means, but I just think about, let's say we hit 2027 and a whole bunch of people who have a lot of money, who really love watching the USC Trojans and love watching Juju Watkins, put together a whole bunch of money, and they're like, hey, why don't you take your redshirt year? And now you're 22 years old, which is, I mean, not her prime, but definitely a year that Juju Watkins is going to be a great player to watch. Now she's deciding to forego the W for another year in college. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but that is maybe like the most dramatic example of something that is possible that probably wouldn't have been possible before her injury, but I don't know. I think maybe it's coming off of spending the weekend in the Final Four as well, where like just the transfer portal was just and like NIL and revenue sharing was just such a huge part of the meta conversation. I just feel like it's going to increasingly become a problem for the W. I don't think it was a problem for the W before, but I think it might become one, because even look at the players who could have entered the draft but didn't this year, right? Like Tania Latson, who we'll talk about, could have entered the draft. Olivia Miles could have entered the draft. Could Tania Latson enter the draft? I think she could have, right?
I don't know if she could have. It's like I want to be clear. It's really rare for draft eligible juniors to enter the draft. Like
that's fair.
It's really rare.
That's fair. AZ is another one who I think honestly AZ was ready. I think if it was like any other year,
yeah, she's using her red shirt.
Yeah, she's using her red shirt. Yeah, but like I'm looking at the draft. Most of the players who entered are the ones that don't have any eligibility left, other than Paige.
Mm-hmm.
And Paige is a different story. She's like transcendent.
We are thankfully out of the time where we had to worry about the COVID fifth year affecting all of this. Mm-hmm. So like, somewhat thankfully, this is only going to happen to players who lose a whole year to injury. So like, I'm just hoping it doesn't come up very often for that reason. Yeah. In addition to the complications of it, it's hard for me to have a take on it before we see maybe a year or two under the CBA how players sort of change their minds depending on what the rookie scale is there, and also with the house settlement, of course, like how that changes NIL deals at the top end versus the bottom end. You know, it's obviously going to pull up the bottom end quite a bit. I'm curious how it affects the top end of things, because like it's hard to imagine the house settlement's really going to change like how much LSU is throwing at Anissa Morrow,
right? Yeah.
Or TCU is throwing at Olivia Miles in this sense. It's a lot of moving parts. It's something that they shouldn't ignore. I think is how I'd put it. Like, yeah, it's an issue.
I don't think I'm not trying to ring the alarm bells, but I'm just there's a wrinkle, like there's a ripple effect, I guess.
Keep an eye on it, and maybe actually for the first time in history, we can do medical research into why women tear their ACLs a lot. That would be nice.
That would be cool.
Maybe that would be nice.
That might be if we get like one silver lining out of Juju getting hurt, it might be that. Although, I mean, if you're putting together a research grant right now, just make sure you don't put the word woman in it. Anyway, do you have any
women's health isn't real?
Do you have any overarching thoughts on the Olivia Miles to TCU that we haven't gotten into?
I'm excited to see who she is actually going to end up playing with. Like the only like rotation players that TCU has right now. Maddie Shear's coming off a torn something. I completely forgot what Maddie Shear tore, but like Maddie Shear's going to be there for 1 year. Taylor Bigby has her last year there. She's a 3-and-D wing. Donovan Hunter's still there. She's a guard who plays defense. That's it. That's it basically.
Yeah, they got more work to do.
I mean, they have the money to do more work. And Mark Campbell's the guy who built Oregon State with Scott Ruick. He was the lead recruiter on the West Coast for Kelly Graves, and we saw who they were pulling in from the West Coast at Oregon. Like, he gets talent. Yeah, he coaches it well. Like, it's gonna be fun either way.
Yeah, little Samaya Smith moment, perhaps. That could be fun.
Oh God, yes, please.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. And Tania Latson, in huge news, has decided that she is transferring from Florida State to South Carolina. And I mean, gosh, just coming off of losing a title, I don't know if you could ask for better news than the leading D1 scorer in the NCAA, who kind of fills all of your gaps. But it gets a little complicated, I guess, depending on who comes and goes. And I do think South Carolina has to figure out a few things, but oh my gosh, like the headline there is just Tania Latson is going to South Carolina. Like, that's incredible. Right. Yeah.
Legitimate, like, just from a draft perspective, legitimately moving to like what Dawn and her assistants do for player development. It's gonna be a little sad to see Winston Gandy gone, just because he is such a good development coach. But like legitimately, like when I got the news that South Carolina, she was going there, I was like, okay, I'm moving her up a whole grade in my future projection. I was like, I'm moving her up 3 spots in this draft. Like,
well, what do you want to? Yeah, what do you want to see?
It's just gonna be so much fun.
Yeah, oh my gosh, it's gonna be so much fun, and that is like actually
her
an
and
element
Malaysia
of this.
At the same time is insane.
I know,
that's unfair.
I mean, as far as her development goes, like this was somebody who was already developing quite a bit in her last year at FSU. Her playmaking improved, her defense improved. Like she's always been an incredible scorer. But I'm curious, what are you kind of looking to see out of her?
The 2 biggest things for me are, can we get a consistent 3-point shot, which Dawn got out of Bree Hall. She sort of got out of Raven Johnson. She's had a hell of a lot of shooting out of the guards and wing spots lately. If there's someone who can that
was a Winston Gandy thing though, right? Like that's why she hired him.
Mm-hmm. And look, like he was there for a few years. Like hopefully the program picked up what he had to teach, and they can keep that going. And if she can be like a legitimate, consistently good 3-point shooter, like that is an insane offensive profile. I mean, as it is, she's really good, but that is unstoppable. If she is, and then just overall, like I'm not enamored with the defense. She is not good at the point of attack, and is generally okay off the ball. Like if that turns into a plus at all, like the way that Tina Paopao made enormous gains at South Carolina. If Tanai Latson comes even like 70% of the way there in terms of that level of gain, that is crazy.
Yeah, I would like to see like the defense get a lot more disciplined, but I just think with the athletic tools that she has, if she's willing to buy into that, which I'm sure, by the way, had to be a conversation because South Carolina, I mean, that's what South Carolina does. Also, like a lot of their best defenders are leaving, they're graduating, so they are going to need somebody to step into that. I'm really looking forward to, on a more bigger picture level, seeing her go to a program where she is going to get the attention that her electrifying game deserves, because she's just one of the most fun players that I've ever seen play college basketball. Like we just watched her just run up and down and with the floor with LSU for an entire half and basically try to outscore them herself. And like she just about pulled it off. Like the downhill explosion, like people, like there's a reason people call her Baby Wade. She's just impossible to guard when she's like when she's going like that. And I think that I'm like with Paige leaving, Juju hurt, I was kind of like one of the things that I think a lot of people are wondering going into the next college basketball season is who is going to be that big star, right? That can like command an audience and can kind of be like the headliner. And I do think that Latson is like really well suited for it. She just never played at a program that got a lot of attention, but now she is. And I do think that like it kind of, it sets up the next college basketball season really well, especially like the whole South Carolina story, them losing the title, them sitting in the pain of it now, and like the returning players, I just do think are going to be a lot better. Like Joyce Edwards, I think it's going to be a lot better after really dealing with like competitive loss for the first time in her life. And got a shout out Agatha McKeer as a Canadian here. I'm very excited to see what she does. But they do have to like, I mean, like the roster that they have now is pretty interesting though. Now with like Paopao, Fagan, Bree Hall, and potentially Raven Johnson leaving. Like,
Raven announced she was staying.
Oh, she announced she's staying. Oh, yep. She did. Okay.
Because she and Latson are like childhood besties, apparently.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's like. I mean, yeah, that's a brain. That's like part of the whole reason she's even going to South Carolina. Yeah, that's my bad. So I guess they kind of have. They kind of have to figure out who's going to play the 3 for them. Really.
I hope Tessa. Tessa.
Yeah,
I just want to see more Tessa.
Yeah, you know what? They're actually. I think they're good. I mean, they're not good. Like they. Are they good? Okay, let's like. I'm working out in my head right now. Oh, they're good. I mean, like the good.
Fagan. So Fagan leaves. Watkins is healthy. It replaces her in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
Or continues coming off the bench as he rehabs and Joyce starts. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, but your front court, you're feeling good.
Yep. Hall leaves, replaced by probably Tessa.
Yeah.
With Malaysia still coming off the bench, Paopao directly replaced by Latson.
Okay.
And then you add Agatha McKeer.
Okay, I like that 7.
It's fun.
That's number 2 in my AP rankings. Yeah, that's fun. Yeah,
Why not start off as the preseason favorite again?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
But yeah,
okay.
I mean, between Lansing and South Carolina, Hidalgo, obviously still going to be Hidalgo. If Michaela Williams makes even like a little more of a jump at LSU, like if there's even a little more offense in there, Madison, it's basically same idea with Madison Booker. Sarah Strong, like you have a really, really good preseason All-American team. Like that's a lot of star potential. Even with Paige gone, even with Juju hurt.